Hello friends, this is Durga again from Technology Mentor / IT Varsity, and as part of MapReduce application development using Hadoop Java-based APIs, we have seen several things so far. We have started with simple MapReduce applications using default mapper and reducer functionality, and also we have written simple MapReduce application to get the record count, and we have seen many features in MapReduce APIs. And at this time, we are developing a simple MapReduce application to get the average volume of stock per month. And as part of that process, we have created this plain old Java object nysc parser.java, and we have identified input and output formats, which will be text input and text output format because we are dealing with text data. And also we have written a custom key to store two text values, and out of that I have missed one thing, which I will be covering first before going to the next part. So the one thing that I have missed is the constructor with no arguments. The default constructor of text page needs to be implemented as well, and it is not there as part of the original class. For that, because as part of the framework, especially when you are using these as a key in the MapReduce lifecycle, it expects that we have a default constructor with no arguments to be defined. For that reason, I will be defining the default constructor with no parameters, and the implementation will be simple, just super, and then this dot first equal to new text, and this dot second equal to new text. That's it. And after that, also as part of this life cycle, we have to create another custom key or value type to store integers. As part of the mapper output, we need to emit two numeric values, one for getting the sum of the volume and the other one for the number of the number of records per stock in a month. For that, we have to create another custom key or value type. In this case, we will create custom key itself. What we will do is, instead of developing the complete class again, we will copy this one. So I am selecting this class, copy, paste, and I want to name it as long pair. Okay, and here I want to have this as long variable, so I am refactoring it. So I don't know why it is not showing the rename option. Probably it will not allow. Okay, yeah, I cannot change the class names using refactor. So probably I have to give long writable here, and just copy paste wherever it is relevant. Okay, I need to import this one so that these errors will go away. Okay, here also it is long writable. Here also it is long writable. It is long writable here as well. And we will not use the hash code because we will not be using it as key for this program. So we'll leave as it is. And I think that's it. and if you want to display it, we want to display using first tab second, so I'm leaving it as is. So it's the same thing. We are implementing writable comparable with long pair as part of the interface specification, and we have created two private variables, long writable, and we have getters and setters. We have read fields, write and compare to, because we are implementing writable comparable, and then we have hash code equals and toString overridden from class object. That being said, we are ready with custom keys and values. Now we have to start developing the mapper. Okay, and first let us understand what we need to do in the mapper. We have to get the input key for the mapper will be line offset, and for that reason we have to use long writable, because we are using text input format or a variation of it. We will see the variation when we actually do the job configuration, but we will be using we will be dealing with text data wherein each record is each line is a record. So for that, input key will be line offset and type will be long writable. Input value will be each record in New York Stock Exchange data, which is one line each line in the data set, and output key will be a calendar month YYYYMM as well as stock ticker. But if you go back to the data, so cd users sorry. So if you open one of the files like this, you can see that the date format is in DDMON. Instead of this, we want to have it in YYYY minus MM. For this program, it is not that important, but it is important for our future programs that we convert that, so that we can actually sort this data in appropriate fashion when we add more and more functionalities down the line for this program. Okay, for that reason we want to convert the output key to this format, YYY minus MM, and also we want to store stock ticker as part of the output key. So for these two things, we have to use custom key type, for which we have defined text pair, and then the output value and output key and output value, we want to store we want to pass volume for each stock and number 1 for each record, so that we can actually use those values to compute average when we go to the reducer. As I have explained earlier, for average, it is not directly additive, so you have to have different logic in combiner, and you have to have different logic in reducer. For that, we need to have composite composite value which have multiple fields. In this case, those two fields are volume and number 1 for each and every record. So for that, we will be using the long pair, which can store 2 numeric values. Okay, so let's start with that. And also, as part of this, to do this conversion, first we will modify the text pair, the New York Stock Exchange parser. We will add a new method. So I am going to parsers, and I am adding a new method to get trade month. Okay, so for this, so the data looks like this. We have a date in this format. So for this, we have to define the format so that we can convert this to date, and then we have to convert date back to string using YYYY minus MM format. So we have to declare 2 variables using simple date format, original trade date, equal to new simple date format, and the date is of type this one. So DD represents the date, 2-digit date, MMM represents the 3-character month, and YYYY represent the year. Similarly, we have to use another for target trade month. And for that, the final format we want to return is of YYYY minus MM. And then we have to first create a date, original date, equal to, let me import this first. We have to import java.util_date, and then you have to say original, let me name it as format, and format, and then control space, you will get the hint here, dot parse, and we want to get the trade date, so this dot trade date. So trade date will become date here, which is originally string, and for this we need to add a try catch block. I'm adding that here, and I need to use this outside this scope, so I have to copy this, equal to new date, and remove the declaration here. And now I have to convert it back to string using this format. So for that, what I have to do is target trade month, string target trade month, equal to target trade month format dot format, and I have to pass the date, original date here. Now I can return this, and when we actually invoke this method, the date will be of string type with this format. Okay. Now we will start developing the mapper program. For that, I am creating a package here, new package. So new package, and I will name it as average stock volume per month. That is the package name. And in this, I want to create mapper first. So new class average stock vol per month. Okay, and mapper, because I am planning to develop mapper. So I am actually having a main class to define the mapper, unlike earlier where I have a nested class within the driver program itself. So to implement mapper, we have to extend mapper, and the input key is of type long writable. Let me import this, and also then text is for our record, and then output key is of type text pair, and output value is of type long pair. Okay, let me import these ones also. Okay, after importing, I want to create map function, and for that, long writable for input key, and line offset is the key, and text and value is the record, and then context, object with context. And I have to throw IO exception, as well as interrupted exception as part of the map function, as part of overriding the map function, and I have to import this IO exception. Okay, now the first thing what we need to do is we need to create an object for parser. So I have to define a class level variable called private static nysc pair, nysc parser equal to new nysc parser. Okay, now I can invoke parser function and parse of that parser object, parse function of the parser object on record. Because it is of text type, it is complaining, so we need to convert it into string, because if you look at the nysc parser, the parse function actually takes the string type. Okay, so dot to string. Now we have to create a text pair object. So for that, let me create a class level text pair static text pair map output key equal to new text pair, and also private static long pair map output value equal to new long pair. Okay, now we have to build these objects. So map output key is map output key dot set first. We have to set the date first, because we want to use date, and then under that we want to have the stock ticker. For this program, it doesn't matter whatever you want to do. So I'm just using the transaction trade month. So it will be pass dot get parser dot get. We need to get the trade month here. Similarly, map output key set second. We have to say parser dot get stock ticker. Similarly, we have to set the map output value also. But before doing that, these actually return string. So we have to convert it into text by invoking the text constructor for both of these, like this. So now map output key is done. Now we have to set the map output value. Map output value set first. It should be long writable, and I want to set parser dot get volume, which is of type long, so I am converting it into long writable here. Similarly, map output value dot set second will be I need to convert numeric value 1 to long writable just to satisfy the long pair, which is the type of this map output value. And then we have to emit the output using context dot write. The first object is map output key, second object is map output value. So our mapper program is done. So we have actually parsed the record using this, and then we set the key and value with the values we want to set for our downstream programs. Okay, so what we can do is we can test. We will develop a combiner and reducer in a moment, Meanwhile, we can actually test this. To test it, we need to have a driver class also. So let's start developing the driver class for this. And for that, right click on the package, click on new, click on class, and the name is the average stock volume per month. This will be the driver program. Hit finish. Let me rename it to driver so that we understand easily. So now it is month driver, and it has to extend configured implements tool, and I have to provide the behavior for run method of tool. And here first we need to create a job object, and there is a static method called getInstance, and I have to give getConf to this so that we can create instance with configuration object, and getConf is the method from configured. And then we have to set the jar by class so that when we actually run on the cluster, it will run without any issues. Hit enter. Now first thing you have to do is you have to set the input path. File input format is the class which have the set input path method. Okay, it is arg0, and then let us set the output path also. Format dot set output path job arg0 of 1. Okay, we need to pass the path object. That's why it is complaining for output path. So let me do that. And I have to import this path also. Make sure you import the right classes. So once we have this, we have to set the input format class using job.set input format class. And here we can use text input format, but if you see the data set, even on the cluster I am using the same data set, we have too many files for each directory. For example, if you want to run on all these directories, all these 5 directories, if you do wc-l, which is a Linux command to give you the list of to give you the number of lines in all those directories. Sorry, I have to do ls-ltr nysc underscore then wc-l. So there are 1366 files. So if I run just like this directly, it will create 1366 mappers just to process 156 megabytes of data, which is completely inefficient. So to overcome that issue, even if you have too many small files, we can use something called combine file So there is a class called combine file input format. So if you end up having too many small files, you can use this one. And this can be used for several purposes. And there are some direct known subclasses also for this. So if you want to use it for the text input format, you can directly use combine text input format. So instead of using text input format for our input format class, I will be using combined text input format. So combined text input format dot class, and let us import this one. From the MapReduce API, and it also have additional method to set the split min size also, but we will not be doing that. We will be using the default, so it will use 128 MB as default size. So in this case, as we have 156 MB of data, it might use two splits to process the data. Hence, there will be two mappers when we actually run this program on the cluster. That being said, now we will set the mapper class, job.set mapper class. Our mapper class is average stock volume per month mapper dot class, and our map output key is text pair dot class, and our map output value class is long pair dot class. Okay, and let me import this. Okay, now as we don't have the reducer yet, I am setting number of reduced tasks to 0, and that's it. We have to now invoke the MapReduce application by calling job dot wait for completion, and we have to pass boolean variable, which is boolean value which is true as parameter, and then if it is successful we want to return 0, if it is failure we want to return 1. And then we have to define static void. We have to define main function so that we can invoke this program to run our MapReduce application. For that, public static void main string args and throws exception. Here we have to use system.exit, and in that we have to use tool runner interface. We can invoke the run method on for our tool object, which is this class average stock volume per month driver. Because it implements tool interface, we can use this one, but we need to create the object of it. So new, and then we want to pass the arguments, whatever we pass to this main function. That being said, we are ready to run this. We will see the mapper output, and then we will work on the combiner and reducer as part of the next video. Once everything is done, we will actually test on the cluster also. That being said, click on run as, run configurations, and here I want to create a new Java application to run this, which is average stock volume per month driver, and it takes two arguments, which is users usd ga di raj research big data, my raw data, nys raw data, sorry, big data nysc raw data. That's where I have all the directories, and I want to pass all the directories, which are 5 of them, and then I want to pass the output path, users usd gadiraj research big data nysc output average stock vol. Click on apply and then click on run. So input path is not correct. Let me troubleshoot that and change the path. Okay, there is a typo in research, so here it should be H. So click on run as, run configurations, and in arguments I just have to change it to H and then run. Now it will take a while to run this because we have 156 megabytes of data. So it completed successfully, and you can see that the directory is created under this path which we have given as part of the output path. And if you go to the directory output average stock volume and do lsltr, there is one file which is of size 71 MB, and you can do the view on that, and you can see that for 2009 January there is no volume for A on any date, so it's 0. But as you move towards the end, for each date, so this one is for each date actually. For each date we are converting to month, so it will have 3,471,692, the same number as the input number of records in the input files, which is under raw data. And then if you do cat nysc star asterisk.csv, and then if you want to do the line count, it is same number. Only difference is now the map output have trade month for each and every date, and then stock ticker, and then that day's volume, and then one number for each of the for each day for each stock. So we can use these things as part of combiner and reducer to compute our average. That being said, that's it for now. In the next video we will see how to develop the combiners and reducers for this map output, and we will test it, and probably another 1 or 2 videos will be wrap up this application, which will have use many features, and we will see the value of combiner input format also when you actually run on the cluster. That being said, I hope you are enjoying the content so far in my channel. If you have any questions, any technical questions with respect to a video, or if you want to provide the feedback, please use the comment section. If you like the content of the video, please click on the like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. You will understand and learn so many new stuff on my channel in the longer run. Thank you. Bye.